Usually I ask people, did anyone ever tell you, oh, you shouldn't be angry, and that helped you to stop being angry?
Yeah. Stop worrying.
Stop
Always
worrying.
works.
Yeah, of course. Now I'm calm. Yeah, not everything is okay. We can't ignore emotions. The invitation is to think differently about emotions.
Welcome back to Neuroconversant Leadership, where we talk about effective communication and leadership, especially in the STEM workplace. My name is Jeremy Doran, and I love to work with engineers and other technical people and help them make the transition into excellent managers and excellent leaders. Today, we have a special guest, Nir Megnazi. Nir is an executive coach, and he also helps people deliver better leadership. And a lot of that is through emotional intelligence. And I will let him tell you all a little bit more about himself. Nir, welcome.
Thank you, Jeremy. First, it's an honor to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I'm sure your audience would be a little bit more comfortable knowing that I'm also an engineer. And I was an engineer. Well, I think I am an engineer. No one can take the engineer out of me, right? Those
Right.
engineers know, right? We engineer everything. I spent 23 years of my career at Intel before I left. Most of it, about 2 decades, as an engineering manager. So I've done the transition from engineer to engineering manager, and at the end of my career, also to a full-time leadership coach. And from that, I think came the passion for developing humans to help leaders become better managers and better leaders. And today, my focus is mostly working one-on-one or in groups and focusing on how emotions specifically show up in the workplace, how they help us or how they actually block us from getting to the top of our potential.
Great. So this is a fantastic topic. To make sure I'm clear on it, I do a lot of talking about emotional intelligence, and that is how to interact with people in a more effective way. But when you talk about emotions at work, does it mean harnessing your own emotions or similar to the emotional intelligence?
So it's a cause and effect. You cannot address and connect with someone else's emotions if you haven't connected with your own emotions. And I'll give an example. One of the things where I've seen, just speaking for myself and also seen with my clients, is sometimes you get in a situation that you don't know how to handle. The emotions are too big. So if someone is angry at me and starts shouting at me, if I have not processed my own anger and I know how to handle my own anger, I would be triggered by the anger of the other person. Now, we're engineers, and engineers want to fix everything. So if I'm a leader, if I'm a manager, and I don't know how to fix my own anger, I would freeze in that moment or avoid or run away. I would not be present. I won't apply my leadership presence. I won't listen. I won't be calm because I don't know how to fix the other person's anger. So this is how, if we don't work on our own emotions, it is hard to create space for the other person's emotions as well.
You said an interesting thing there. So I like the holding space for that person's emotion, but you said to fix that person's emotion. Is it the leader's role to fix the other person's emotions or let them have it, or what?
Absolutely not to fix, because we can't fix emotions. Emotions are first very human. Many of my clients in my coaching practice have some level of emotional blocking. It's a hard term, but when I say blocking, it's avoidance. There are some emotions that when they were young, they just could not hold. They didn't have the space to hold those emotions. So what do? They avoid them. And when we see someone else having these emotions, we want it to stop because it triggers us. And that's why we have this situation where people freeze or avoid, or they're just don't know what to do. Then they think they're bad managers. No. And the goal is not to fix. The goal is to make space, not make it wrong. Usually I ask people, did anyone ever told you, oh, you shouldn't be angry, and that helped you to stop being angry?
Yeah. Stop worrying.
Stop
Always
worrying.
works.
Yeah, of course. Now I'm calm. Not everything is okay. We can't ignore emotions. The invitation is to think differently about emotions. Emotions are not bad. There's no such thing as negative emotions. Okay, they're not good or bad, negative or positive. They're comfortable and uncomfortable emotions. All emotions are natural, and emotions are energy in motion. And
Hmm.
there are also information in motion. They tell us something. So if we stop exiling emotions from the workplace, suddenly the invitation is to, hey, you have such a huge stream of information in front of you that you're not using because we cannot hold our own emotions. We haven't done the work, which we should. It's very healing. And once we do, now we can tap into this information. So someone comes to us angry. If they're angry, it means that they care deeply about something. Okay? When we hold the space, we can communicate very calmly. Wow, it looks like you're very angry, that you deeply care about this. Can you tell me more? What happened and what makes it so difficult for you right now? What have we done that made you react this way? I'm curious. So when we apply curiosity to emotions, we acknowledge them, we respect them, and now we can dive deeper into what's the information there.
There is a lot in there, and I may miss some things, but do you recommend naming the emotion that you're seeing to make sure that you're on the same page? Like you just said, I see that you're angry, and then ask questions. Do people take well to you naming what you think their emotion is?
Naming emotions is great. I wouldn't say that there is an art with it. There is, uh, but the way we're used to, I wouldn't say, oh, you're angry. Because when I say you're angry, that's an assertion.
Hmm.
Maybe you're not angry. Maybe you're just frustrated. Maybe you have a different specific flavor of that emotion that you feel right now. So I would start with something a little bit less committed. It looks like, it sounds like, it looks like you're angry. This is much less committed, but it still names it. And
Hmm.
do it in a respectful way, not in a way that makes it wrong. Why are you angry? Tell me why
Right.
you're angry. It's very judgmental, which feels like you have no right of being angry. Hey,
Yeah.
it looks like you're very angry. I'm curious what made you feel this way.
Yeah. Because if someone tells me something, I'm like, you don't get to name what I am. I will tell you what I am. Uh, so I love the way you said it. The way I would probably say it is, it seems to me that you're angry right now, because then
Beautiful.
it's putting it on myself.
Beautiful.
When you are working with people that you coach or that you're working with, is where you start them getting in touch with their own emotions and understanding them, or do you start with the way they interact with other people? How does it go?
So it's all a big spaghetti bowl. And it all depends which noodle do I want to pull. Mostly the work starts inwards. So what I do in my practice is we first connect them to their body because all emotions have a physical representation. That's why they call a heartbreak, or cold feet, cold feet.
Mhm.
When I'm angry, it's somewhere in my chest. There is a contraction. There's this fire in me. If I'm sad, I feel gravity pulling me down. And my head wants to go down. I feel the sadness. I don't think about the sadness. I first feel it. So I first connect them to their body. Usually they describe a situation, and then we go to the body and we identify what's happening, and then we name it. What's emotion that exists in you right now? So I'm also creating a separation between who they are and their emotions. I,
Interesting.
because their emotions are in them. They're part of them, but they're not them. The same as their thoughts. they have thoughts. We can observe our thoughts. Like we can sit back just like in a movie theater in front of a big screen and just watch our thoughts and watch our body and watch our emotions, just like in a movie. So they're part of us, but they're not us.
They don't define us.
Yes. So we observe our physical sensations because this is in the present. Whenever we sense our physical body, this is always in the present. People say, how do I become present? Go to your body because your body is in the present. Then we name our emotions and then we ask questions. Or before that, first we feel our emotions. Maybe this one is big. Jeremy, this one is huge. We have been taught either culturally or in our family or by our environment that some emotions shouldn't be felt. They're either not appropriate or they're dangerous. Anger is of course, the most common one because when we're young, how do we express our emotions? Physically. When we're angry, we might be violent or we throw stuff or we shout and we're told, no, dial it down. You're not allowed to scream or be angry. So what do? We stop this anger, we push it down, and then we don't feel that we have the permission to feel. So the first thing I do is allow people to feel, create a space for them. If you're angry, just feel angry. And that confuses them. What do you mean I'm allowed to be angry? I'm angry. No, you're not. You say that you're angry, but it's held here. Can you feel angry?
Almost the difference between knowing that you're angry and understanding and feeling that you're
Yes.
angry. Got it.
And when we can feel angry, now we can create the separation, which is so critical for work, between feeling angry and acting angry. That's a very important separation. And in between, there's choice. And I think so many great scholars and coaches and very smart people said that between a trigger and a response, there's a space for choice. Viktor Frankl said that. Stephen Covey talked about this, about the choice. And I say they're much smarter than me. And there's a missing part. That is identifying the trigger, knowing real time, oh, I've been triggered. And if we don't focus on this awareness, oh, I'm angry. I'm actually afraid. I'm irritated right now. I'm fearful. I'm helpless. I'm happy. If I don't recognize that trigger in real time, now there's no choice. What happens is, let's say that we're in a meeting and this is my trigger. I'm going to share my trigger. It's very cute. I'm very always amazed how this trigger still triggers me. So, Jeremy, maybe let's do this role play just for a second. Okay. My trigger is when someone says, this is stupid. Okay. Because the way I interpret it in my brain, the way I'm wired, my inner software is, you are stupid.
You're stupid. Yep.
Right. That's what I hear. So go ahead and just, tell me we're in a meeting and tell me this is stupid.
Nir, what you just said is stupid.
So immediately right now, I can feel the contraction. The trigger exists, but now I can identify it. Now, before I could identify it, what I would do, it would ignite my fight response.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be my reaction because I don't like this contraction. I don't like the anger. And I don't like the fear of not being worthy. Mm-hmm. Underneath all of that is our need to feel that we're worthy. So when you triggered, you press that button, you're not worthy. You're not worthy. I wanted to stop this emotion. And my previous auto response, it was autopilot. It was not in my conscious awareness. I would go and fight. I would attack to show you, to win back my worthiness. Mm-hmm. And in the meeting, that would be like, no, you're stupid. Or, you know what? You're wrong. And you know nothing. I did it. And you would see this energy of fighting.
Yep.
Today, because I recognize the trigger, I'm like, oh, my worthiness has been triggered. And I know it's an issue. I know it's something that I had to deal with because I was bullied at the age of 13. That's part of the process I went through to understand where this anger and fight response came from. Someone challenged my worthiness.
Mm-hmm.
But now I recognize it. So, oh, I'm angry. Here's my fight response. But now I can choose because I'm familiar with it already. I've done the work to sit in this anger that was triggered right now. So, oh, let me be angry. I'm not angry anymore. It has been processed. It passed away. The trigger is still there.
Yep.
But now I can say, Jeremy, you said that this was stupid. Tell me more. And then it's on you. You should explain. And from my experience, then you understand that they didn't say that you were stupid. There is something that doesn't sit with them. Great. Now you can be curious. So instead of reacting to the trigger, we're responding to it. Now there is choice. That's why awareness is so key. When people say self-awareness, people, okay, blah, 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 this wagga wagga thing. No. Self-awareness allows us to be present, allows us to respond instead of react. So instead of reacting to our uncomfortable emotions, we respond to the situation.
It's amazing. So I'm the youngest of 10 kids, so I've got plenty of triggers. And it's amazing, like you just said, even when you have done the work to identify and understand them, trigger doesn't go away. Your ability to cope with it just gets faster.
Yes. And sometimes you're not even triggered. Like I've found that the triggers get weaker and weaker. Some I haven't figured out yet how to completely remove that trigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that with more deeper and deeper work, eventually the trigger is gone. There's no need for it.
The idea of asking questions first, if someone does trigger you, then it takes a couple seconds to get to the point where you can ask questions. But what I've found is when you ask questions, it gets them to be much more specific. And even if they are right about the criticism, now that it's specific, it's so much easier to accept. If I, did a presentation, they're like, that presentation was bad. I'm like, screw you. But if I say, what part of it? They're like, well, that 1 minute in the middle where you stumbled. I'm like, oh, I agree. That part was bad. How was the rest of it? Oh, the rest of it was pretty good. So the more specific it is, the more palatable it is, and the more likely it is that you can agree with it and work from there.
100%. And it also teaches the other side to have more empathy and to be more accurate.
Mm.
We like to include everything. Everything is bad. There was once a clip that I've seen of this young girl that did a dance and put it on Instagram, and she got 999 responses. How amazing she is! And one response said, "You have big ears."
Oh,
Right, and this is what we focus on. Why? Again, because we want to feel loved. We want to be worthy. We want to be accepted. There are so many undercurrents in our existence, in our day-to-day existence. So many undercurrents that we're not aware of, but they are in play, and they're as big as the tectonic plates. And I think our goal as leaders is first work on ourselves. So we become aware of our own triggers, our own emotions, our own undercurrents. What is the love underneath the surface that is in play for us? And then when we do that, when we become much more aware of our own emotions, then our sensors can turn outwards. Instead of protecting us from the environment, if we feel safe with our emotions, we can turn the sensors outwards and start sensing others. And now you read the room in a completely different way.
that whole thing is very reminiscent of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits. Start with yourself and then move to the outside. So, you have engineering as a background, and as do I. And I will tell you that with a lot of engineers, the way they make decisions and the way they start is with logic. And then they may go to emotion, whereas other people start emotional and then you can get them to logic. And it makes it hard for me sometimes to recognize that something is an emotional topic. Because to me, it may just be a thought problem that I can work through logically. To the other person, it's it's a very emotional thing, and I don't always see it. Do you have any suggestions for people who are on different ends of that spectrum?
Yes. First, you described it so beautifully because I've seen it so much. We think that, especially in engineering space, it's all about logic. And we engineers, our brain is geared to solve problems.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we grow up, right? From first grade. Problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution. We don't feel anything. We're not trained to feel, we're trained to solve. And our brain is wired to that. So when you have people with different styles, that can really create a problem. My suggestion is slow down to go fast. And it works for both sides. So when I was an engineering manager, what I've seen so many times is that there's a huge amount of waste in the system in the day-to-day work. For example, when we don't trust someone, how many more meetings are we going to have about what they need to deliver?
Mm-hmm.
Probably 10 more meetings or 10 times more meetings because we don't trust them. So we need to validate and we need to set expectation. And when they deliver, is it on time? Let's validate what they deliver because there's no trust. So there's a lot of overhead, and trust is a feeling. But it's about something that we manufacture or a delivery or an API, whatever. So emotions are a big part of it. And we need to be clear about what is the root cause of everything. When we interact with someone, why are they saying what they're saying? And I don't ask a why question usually because why is seen as judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say, Jeremy, why do you care about this? It already feels judgmental. Instead, I would ask, Jeremy, you're asking me for A and B. What makes it so important for you? What are you seeing in your side that makes this so urgent right now? That you raise the flag and there's all those escalations. It must be very important to you. And of course, you don't want to fail, right? It's part of the emotional thing. You don't want to fail. You want to uphold your end of the bargain or whatever you're supposed to do. So there's always both components, but we don't see them. We make a lot of assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
So the recommendation is don't make any assumptions. Be curious, use what and how questions instead of why questions, and slow down. I'll give you one example. Sometimes I teach workload workshops, and it's because too many people say yes, and they're overloaded. And guess what? Their people are already loaded with 120% of their capacity. And then someone comes and say, "Oh, you have to do this as well," and something is gonna fall off the plate.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to be very clear about what people are asking us, why they're asking us. So this VP comes to one of my clients. He said, "You need to develop this for me. Now, this is number one part. You have to develop it." And this client was in this program that I had. The workload component was part of it. And he asked, "Okay, let me first understand what makes this important for you. What are you seeing? Before I go and develop something, what am I solving for? Show me the problem. Show me what caused the problem. Because maybe you're asking for one solution. Maybe I have a better solution for you."
Yep.
So already framed as, I want to help you. I want to understand more for the purpose of helping you. He didn't say, "Hey, I'm too busy. I can't." There was not this, two bulls locking horns because they're all busy and everyone are stressed to get to the milestone of the project. No, it starts with just slowing down, Let's understand the problem. What are we actually solving here? And of course, this VP didn't know too much. They were just escalated for a solution, and they wanted to force themselves on the other group so they would develop it. So this leader went to the leader that had the problem in that organization and just show me the problem. Show me what caused the problem. And what they've found is they can develop a better solution. That's number one. That would take, instead of 2 months, 3 weeks. The second thing, they actually identified a principal engineer in the requesting group that was a content expert in this area and that wanted some other development for themselves. And they let this principal engineer work the solution because now they understood the root cause of the problem. So everyone were happy. Principal engineer got something new to do that was out of their scope, and they were super happy to innovate there, and zero work for their receiving party. Why? Because they slowed down. And that actually created acceleration.
Mm-hmm.
So when people want to accelerate, it's not about working more, harder, or different. It's about actually going backward to asking, what are we solving for?
And that is so powerful because, just like you said, they probably have 10 different problems and they're just asking you for a solution to one of them. If you understand the whole scope, you may be able to solve all the problems.
Yes.
Um, but it's so hard to slow down. It makes me think about in manufacturing, if something goes wrong with the manufacturing process, that people will go back and try to figure out what happened. It almost always comes down to someone saying, I didn't have time to do it right. It's like, if you didn't have time to do it right, how do you have time to fix it?
So
So
beautiful.
you have to slow down, and it does save you time in the long run.
Yes. It's a good metaphor. And it also comes to leadership development. We also have, as leaders, we have to, once in a while, stop and invest in ourselves. If we just run so fast, we'll get burned.
Mm-hmm.
A race car, in a car race, even if you're number one, you're at first, you're gonna go to the pit stop because you have to change tires, you have to refuel, you have to tune your engine, whatever needs to be done at the pit stop. Yes, it's just for 4 seconds today, but you lose first place to invest in yourself. Then you get out last because you know that everyone else at one point are going to go back in the pit stop because
Mm-hmm.
they need to do this themselves if they're smart. And then you'll gain first place as well. So if we don't do this, if we don't slow down to do the right thing, we'll get burned out.
And this saying does not directly apply to that, but you made me think of it, so I'm going to say it. There's a poster, and it said, it was a manager saying, what if I spend time investing in training my employees and they go to work somewhere else? And the response is, what if you don't train them and they stay?
Yeah.
Which is worse. And I always like to kind of shift people from I need to spend time to you need to invest time, because spending seems like you've just lost it. Investing is you are going to get a return on it. You just have to make sure you think of it that way.
And it begs the question, if you're spending time, there's no ROI,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's an expense. And what you're offering so beautifully, Jeremy, is an investment. So again, we can slow down for a second and ask, well, what's the ROI? What am I going to get out of it? How is whatever you're promising me in this training is going to help me in my day-to-day work? And there should be a promise. Otherwise, there's no reason to take a training.
Mm-hmm.
Most trainings have very defined outcome. And if you can quantify it to efficiency, to time saving, to relationship building, to trust building, all these components are going to save us a lot of time in the future, especially in the relationship realm.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that probably is, I think, the biggest paradigm shift for people who shift from an IC role to a management role. And it's even more when you switch from a first-line manager to now a manager of managers. Because some first-line managers, they still go and do the work. Part of their work is their technical. Yeah, I still do some of the work. I'm 50% manager, 50% engineer. Great, that works. And we know we engineers, we love to do things with our hands. But the more that you climb up the ladder, the less work you do. And leadership is done through conversations. It's not on a PowerPoint. It's not on an Excel sheet. It's not on your Jira. It's not in your sprint design. No, it is done through conversations. So leaders must be masters of communication and relationships. If you master communication, if you master human connection, if you master emotions, you master relationships, you will succeed. Because that's your main tool of work as a leader. You work through others.
And you have to accept and take pride in other people's accomplishments.
Exactly.
So, Nir, I hate to say it, but we need to get running because we're up against the wall. How can people reach out and learn more about you?
You can visit my website, nirmegnazi.com, or find me on LinkedIn.
Perfect. I'll put a link in the show notes so people can find out. And last but not least, what is one piece of communication advice you think we can all benefit from?
Slow down, listen first. But don't listen to respond. Listen to understand.
Seek first to understand.
Exactly.
I like it.
Covey got it.
Yeah, he
So
did.
maybe let's tell people, go read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It truly has all the layers of great leadership inside.
Timeless. It's perfect. All right, Nir, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate the invitation.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Neuroconversant Leadership. We're over 100 episodes now. And as mentioned, I'm going to be making some changes. So I would love your feedback on what changes I should make, what things I should add, what things I should take away. Please do me a favor and reach out either on LinkedIn or on my email address, which is jdoran@neuroconversantleadership.com. I look forward to hearing your suggestions. Thanks a lot. Until next time, have a great week.